Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to the third tafsir clip of the month of Ramadan. Today, inshallah, we will delve into a verse of the Quran that is situated in the third juz of the Quran, and that is verse 264 and 265 from Surah Al-Baqarah. The verse starts out like this: Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. O you who believe, do not take the sadaqat that you give, the charity that you give, or the good deeds that you do. Do not take them and ruin them bil manni wal adha. Don't ruin them by constantly reminding the person that you did this good to, going back to them and reminding them and telling them, hey, you remember I did this for you. Wal adha, and bothering that individual after you have done good for them. And then the verse continues, كَالَّذِي يُنْفِقُ مَالَهُ رِئَاءَ النَّاسِ. Because the person who does this, he does a good deed and then he comes back and he ruins it, is like the person who does riya. The person who does riya, he thinks there is a good deed waiting for him on the day of judgment, but then when he shows up on the day of judgment, he finds that his good deed is nowhere to be found. Now, this is a concept and an idea that can be implemented in so many different areas of our life. There are so many different situations where we might do something good, and we put in time into it and we put effort into it. But after we're done with it, then the person who benefited from the good that we did, we start creating problems for them. Either, for example, we go back to them and we put them down and we humiliate them because of the help that they needed in a particular situation. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes al-adha happens. You're nice to somebody, but then in other situations, to the same person, you bother the person, or you annoy the person, or you have bad akhlaq towards that same person. Sometimes this happens, for example, a mother and a child, or a father and their child, and this works both ways. Maybe I do something for my mother or father, but then 2 days later I lose my temper with them. What I'm doing here is I am taking that good deed that I had worked so hard for, and I'm ruining it. And I assume that that good deed is going to be waiting for me on the day of judgment, but because I ruined it with this other sin, for example, of yelling, shouting, bad akhlaq, for example, then I've already ruined it, and it doesn't show up for me on that day. The analogy that the Quran gives is like a person who wants to take a seed and plant the seed. And when he wants to plant this seed, he thinks he put it in the ground and therefore it's going to be planted and it's going to remain for him, it's going to grow for him, it's going to show up for him on the day of judgment. But the Quran says, this person, because he did it with the wrong intention in the case of riya, or he ruins it afterwards, bil manni wal adha. It's like placing the seed on a rock, and then a storm comes, and before this seed can even be planted within the ground, it is swooped up in the air and it's gone. And when this person shows up on the day of judgment looking for his seed, aka his good deed, it is nowhere to be found. But now verse 265 says, if you do things with the right intention, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take that deed of yours, and it's as if He's planted it in a place where it gets a lot of rain. So instead of it giving one reward for you, He doubles the rewards for you. Yes? It says it's like taking that seed and planting it in an area where it gets extra rain, it gets extra water. Why? Because he did it with the right intention. So if we do things with the right intention, inshallah, they will show up for us in the day of judgment. God forbid if we don't, it might look like we planted a seed, but in reality, we never planted any seed.